Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Denney will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Hey y'all, Dennisha Denney here. Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville, where we get to hear the stories behind the amazing people that live, work, and play here. I got to have a conversation with Lonnie Schonfeld, and when you hear this story, I think you'll know why I wanted to bring him on the show. He's overcome tragedy not only once, but twice, and his positivity just radiates through him. Here's my conversation with Lonnie. Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Denney. I'm your host for Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting inside one of our beautiful listings at 3547 Old Mill Road, listed by Shannon Smith with REMAX 3D Real Estate. And our guest today is Mr. Lonnie Schonfeld. How are you today, Lonnie?
I'm wonderful. It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come onto our show.
Well, the money helped.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Oh man, that free volunteer work, that really pays off, right?
Yes, this is a beautiful home you have.
Oh, thank you. It's actually already under contract, but they're flying off the shelves right now. Our inventory is so low, so we're thankful for that. But yes, when I saw the pictures, I thought we needed to be in this kitchen with this great farmhouse feel. So, well, I just want to thank you again, and I kind of want to let the audience know a little bit about how we met, because it's an unusual way that we met. We really met on accident.
It was Singapore, and no, it wasn't. It wasn't that.
Well, I met you because you were doing our spotlight at our gala at the Texan.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So I had never met you until then, and we had our gala back in 2019, and I get onto Facebook, and there's this incredible review about our company and about me, and it touched my heart. And I will say, even today, that's the best review I've ever personally received. And so from that point, I was like, I have to check this guy out for him to say all these wonderful things.
Well, I appreciate it. And the truth is that, I ran Spotlight at the Texan for hundreds and hundreds of shows, and you get into the routine of it, and it's like, it's another artist, another singer, and they're all wonderful. But then we had this other event, and it was yours, and you got onto the stage, and it was like, boom! It was the excitement in the room was unbelievable with you and your staff and the guests, and I was like blown away by the enthusiasm, and I couldn't help it. It just draws you in.
Thank you. Well, that's exactly what your posts do for me. So after that night, and I started getting to know you, and I started following your post, and I thought, this gentleman is about positivity, and that's such a wonderful thing to have during this time. Not even, back then we didn't even have what's going on today.
Right.
But you always have a positive word. And so every time I see a post from you, I'm like, okay, what positive word does Lonnie have for us today? Or what perspective is he gonna bring to light? So that's why I wanted you to come on the show, because you're different. I see something really special in you.
Oh, I'm different, that's for sure.
Different is a good thing. It's good to be different. I enjoy being different too.
Well, when you talk about, positivity, I have a good friend in Rockwall. His name is Gary Friedman. And he taught me something a long time ago. It was the hardest thing I have to control every day is my attitude. And if I can do that, everything else is easy.
Yes.
So that's kind of the approach that I take. It's like, there are a lot of days I don't want to leave the house, but we do what we have to do. And once you control your attitude, you get that feeling everything you do.
That's right. And I notice you are always paying it forward. And that makes such a difference too, when you go out to make someone else's day. And so kudos to you for that.
I try to do that. And believe me, there's a whole lot of people in this town and this county that do that. But there's a feeling that you get when you make somebody else's day better. The old saying when you were a kid, it's better to give than to receive. And as a kid, it's like, no. Give me,
Exactly.
But when you get older and you don't really want more things, you have enough things, then it's all about making other people's lives better. And that we all do that. I mean, we enjoy that.
Yes,
so, yes.
So on Heart of Greenville, one of the things we really want to spotlight is your story. I know people know who you are, but they don't necessarily know your story. And I know you're not from Greenville, but as we like to say, you got here as fast as you could.
That's true. That's true. I did.
And you have a passion for Greenville and the people of Greenville. So I would like for you to just take a few minutes and just tell us your story. Where did you grow up? Where did this positive attitude come from?
Well, I grew up in New York, and I was there till I was 13 years old. And my father got a job here working for my uncle, my mother's brother, in Dallas. And we came to Dallas. And, being in New York, I expected to get off the plane and see cowboys and horses, and that's exactly what I saw. But it landed in Dallas, and it was Love Field was the only airport at the time.
Oh, wow.
And I fell in love with Dallas because it was a regional city back then. It wasn't an international city. Oh. And the atmosphere for raising a family and starting a business, it was the best place to be. And the city was starting to still come out of the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, yes.
But it was a great place to be. And so I fell in love with Dallas and with Texas. And I never looked back. So that's what brought me here. Mm-hmm. And I lived in Dallas, I lived in Fort Worth, I lived in Houston for a few years. That's where I graduated from high school. Okay. But then I came back to the Dallas area because I truly love North Texas. It's the place I want to spend the rest of my life. So that's how I got here as a kid and never left.
Right. So what did you do after you graduated from high school in Houston? What did you do after that?
Well, I wound up getting married just after my 21st birthday.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was
so
pretty young. I was. And then a couple of years later, we started having kids. And so I took a lot of college classes and got about 3 years worth out of the way. But the responsibilities of having a family and children, and we have 5 kids. And so
wow.
I just wound up leaving classes and wound up going to work in different fields. I was in sales for quite a bit of time, wound up being in the insurance business for 20 years. So that's kind of how it all evolved.
Oh, I didn't realize you had 5 children.
Yes.
So what's their span of age?
Well, there are 3 of them are very close. 11 months apart. 3 of them are 11 months. Well, what happened was once we realized what was causing the pregnancies, we stopped. We
after the 3rd child?
After the 4th.
The 5th,
and then just for good measure, we went one more time. But that's it, And then we decided that was enough because, it took too long to fill out the census forms. And so we figured enough was enough. But they're pretty close in age. We got them all done really quickly.
You got it all out of the way and out of the house so close to the same time?
Yes, so it all worked out.
How fun. I'm so glad you guys figured
Sorry
that
about
out.
that. Yeah,
that's
we did.
good. It's good to figure those things
yes,
out.
It is.
5, that means you really finally figured that out. So.
That's what, and I love it having 5 kids. It's been wonderful, a big family.
I bet that makes the holidays so much fun when they all come in, and now they've all probably expanded. You have
right, and so now the thing is that instead of being upset that one isn't coming back for the holidays, now I can be upset that 5 aren't coming back for the holidays. Well, but they all live in the North Texas area, so I see them on a regular basis, and it's good.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's good.
So you raised them in Texas, and they didn't leave either, so they love it here.
Well, actually, 2 of my daughters decided to move to Syracuse, of all places, and they'd never lived there, but one daughter decided to go into a nursing program, and she looked all over the country, and she found one in Syracuse that she liked. Oh, wow. So she moved to Syracuse, finished nursing school, wound up getting married and having kids in Syracuse, and it was just the last year and a half or 2 that they moved back to Dallas. I have another daughter who went to Syracuse also to do the same nursing program, and now she's back here. So everybody's back, but they did go off for a few years.
But I think that's good for you. It's good to leave, and then when you come back, you have a whole different level of appreciation.
I think that's right.
So when you were raising your kids, were you in the insurance business during that time?
Yes. I had an insurance agency. I worked for an insurance company as a marketing rep So I spent a lot of time all over Texas visiting insurance agents. And then one day I woke up and I said, I think I want to be an insurance agent. So that's what I did, got an insurance agency in Garland, and I was in the same place for almost 12 years.
Wow. Yeah. And so what type of insurance did you sell?
Well, it was home, auto.
Okay.
Basically, that was it.
Wow.
Home and auto is what I specialized in.
Wow. So I know you don't do that today, but
No.
do you miss it?
I don't miss it.
No.
I had almost 20 years in the insurance industry, and that was great. I mean, it paid for a home, and it raised kids, and we had our family, and we had our vacations. So it was great, but it was time to do something else.
Right. So what did your wife do during that time when you were working and you were raising 5 kids?
Well, she went back to school in the middle of having all these kids. In fact, it was one particular year I remember when she was pregnant with one of our kids, and she had serious morning sickness, but she was still taking classes. She went back and she got her teaching degree, and she became a math teacher in Garland. So she was a teacher at Lakeview Centennial High School in Garland for several years.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. And that allowed her probably, too, to have a great schedule with your kiddos. And,
That's true.
Because I can't imagine having 5 kiddos.
Yeah.
And especially that close. You either have to be a teacher or a stay-at-home mom or something.
It was good. She was great as a teacher, and that all was great. And
Right.
we had our home in Garland. We lived in Mesquite for a while, but it was right next door. Mesquite,
Right.
Garland is right there. So it was good.
That's
it was good.
That's good. So let's fast forward. The kids are grown and they're empty nesters. And what happened after that?
Well, I still had the insurance agency. I had one child left at home, my youngest daughter, and my wife got sick. She was in the hospital during a year period 3 times. She had pneumonia. The last time she got out of the hospital, and she was home for a week, and I came home from work on a Saturday afternoon. She wasn't feeling well. So I took her over to the emergency room, and shortly after that, she started having trouble breathing. And they wound up having to put her on a respirator. And she had pneumonia really, really badly. And within 3 days, everything shut down and she was gone.
Wow. How old was she?
She was 54.
Wow. So young.
And so at that point, I decided I needed to change my whole life. It was what I thought would be the worst experience of my life. I wasn't there yet, but I thought it was, and everything crumbled down. I no longer wanted to be in the insurance industry. I wanted to make a change. I didn't want to live in the house anymore. So I moved out. I rented another house because I wanted someplace else. Right. And I changed businesses. I went to work for another company just to change everything.
Change everything.
And so that's kind of where I went after that.
Right. How long were y'all married?
34 years.
Oh, wow.
34 years.
That's...
And 5 kids. Did I mention
and 5 kids? Yes. Yes. That is really awesome. What, you seem to be in a good place now. So what do you think helped you get through that process? That's hard to lose your spouse in 34 years.
It was almost an impossible situation. The first 6 months, I don't even remember.
Right.
I went to work every day, and I came home, and I fixed my meal in the kitchen, and I took it upstairs to my bedroom, and I watched TV. And that was my schedule every single day. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. That's just the way it was. Yeah. And that was like 6 months. But then I started getting out a little bit more and started doing things, and still things weren't right because, you're married for 34 years, right? And all of a sudden, I didn't even know which utility company we had.
Oh.
I just brought home the paycheck, one of the paychecks.
Right.
She brought home hers, of course,
right.
But she took care of all the bills like a lot of couples
right.
either
one
do
spouse
or
or
did.
the other
Right.
handle that.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know where anything was, what to do. So I had to go through that learning process of trying to figure out, where do I pay the bills? What do I do? So it was a whole learning process, and it was really, really hard. But I started to come out of it, and I'll be honest, there were times when I was bitter and I was upset,
right.
Because there were things in my life that I wanted to share with her that I had planned on sharing with her,
right.
at this point in our lives that now she's gone. And it's just me.
Right.
And of course the kids, but they had their own lives.
Right,
They're
they're
off
grown.
having kids and getting married and traveling and going to school. And you find yourself without the person you were supposed to spend the rest of your life with. So it was difficult.
Right. So what you said, you don't remember those 6 months. What do you remember a specific thing that caused you to be able to start moving forward and start finding your new normal?
You know, I don't remember any specifics. It's just over time. I as you mentioned, I'm a positive person
Yes.
by nature. And so after a certain period of time, that positivity, that person that I am just started taking over, and I had to go out and start doing things. And so I did, a little bit at a time.
Right.
You know, I went out to eat with friends and went to shows. I was very involved in the Dallas theater community. And so I started going back to seeing shows again. So little by little, I started getting out and doing things. And that made a big difference. Once you start getting out, once a certain period of time goes by and you start getting out, you're in a position to where you start becoming more of yourself again.
Right.
It doesn't go away.
Right.
You know, they say time heals. It doesn't heal. It just gives you time to learn how to live
Yes.
with what's happened.
That you are exactly right.
That's and so that's it. But I did kind of float around for 2 or 3 years. I went through the motions, basically, is what happened. It wasn't until I got a call from a friend of mine about coming up here that made me come to Greenville, because I've driven past Greenville 1,000 times on Interstate 30.
Right.
Never got off the freeway. I knew
kept
there
on
was
going.
a Red Lobster over there.
Yes.
And that's all I knew. That's it.
That was the extent.
That was it.
Wow. So do you want to tell who your friend was or what the opportunity was that caused you to get off that interstate?
No, I don't like him anymore. No. It's Bill Salomon, and a lot of people know
yes,
Bill,
I
right?
know Bill.
He works at the Texan Theater. He's backstage stage manager, and he's a great guy. He's been a friend of mine for many years. We did shows together in Terrell
Okay.
with another theater group. That's where I met Bill. But Bill called me up and he said, I am directing a play in a brand new theater. Actually, not a brand new theater. It's one that's been boarded up forever, and it's reopening. It's a historic landmark in Greenville, Texas, the Texan Theater. And the very first thing that's going to happen there is I'm directing the play The Odd Couple, and I want you to come up here and I want you to do the play. And I said, Bill, I am not coming to Greenville, Texas to do a play. I'm not. I'm not coming, you know.
We never say never, right?
This time I'm not. This time I'm saying never. Bill, I'm never coming to Greenville and doing a play. And over the next 2 weeks, he called me like 3 or 4 more times, and he said, I really need you to come do the play. And I said, when do you want me to come pick up the script? And so I drove up here. I couldn't find my way around. I got lost. As simple as it is now, right?
Right
I
on
couldn't
the street.
find. I finally found him, and I got the script and started rehearsal for that show. During the course of that, I met Barbara Horan, who owned the Texan Theater,
Yes.
who still owns the Texan Theater. And over getting to know her, I wound up going to work part-time at the Texan Theater after the play was finished. So I started working part-time at the Texan Theater backstage. That, over the next 5 or 6 months, led to me working full-time at the Texan Theater, and I wound up moving here because of that. So
Wow.
that's what got me to Greenville.
That is really cool. I didn't know how you got to Greenville. I knew you were connected with the Texan.
Well, the first 2 years, I commuted every day because I wanted to still live in Dallas. But I spent so much time and working with the artists that came to the Texan. Sometimes I was done at 2 in the morning.
Right.
Sometimes I had to be back up here at 5:30 in the morning, and it was just getting ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? So,
Did you have a favorite artist or a favorite show that you ever helped with at the Texan?
you know, when I was a kid in New York, there was a comedian, a legendary comedian. He was on every TV show that there was, Marty Allen. He had this crazy frizzy hair. In fact, he was on the Ed Sullivan Show over 35 times.
Oh, wow.
He was on the Ed Sullivan Show the very first night that the Beatles appeared on that. And he's got a wonderful photo of him with the Beatles. It's just fantastic. But he came to the Texan. We became instant friends. It was amazing because I loved the guy the entire time I was growing up. Now, he was 92 when I met him, and he was still working.
Oh, wow.
He was a fantastic individual, a funny, funny man. And we got to be such good friends. And of course, when he was 95, he passed away. But we got to be such good friends. There are so many people that came to the theater that I love, that I'm good friends with still to this day. But he was a special person.
He was your special one.
Yeah.
That is really cool. That's what's so great about being able to be there like that and get to actually know the actual artist and
You
get
get
to
to
be friends
meet
with them.
people you never thought you'd meet. I mean,
Yes.
who would ever think the words that would come out of my mouth would be, I'm shopping at Walmart with the village people.
Exactly.
You know,
Who gets to do that?
I didn't do that, but
You.
I did it. So it was great.
That's
and
awesome.
Barbara Horan, she gave me tremendous opportunity. I mean, she did, because I didn't have any experience at that job, you know,
Right.
and I told her I wanted to do it, and she said, okay. And it was the right thing for me to do, because I don't mind saying I was good at it.
Right.
And I loved doing it. It was just tremendous to meet and work with all these people.
That's awesome. It says so much about Barbara and everyone you worked with that made you want to stay here.
Right.
Which is great. Let's transition. Let's talk for a minute. What are some things that you love about Greenville? You stayed, you didn't leave, and you talk passionately about your experience at the Texan. But what are some things that you've loved about Greenville? And if you want to share a little bit about your foundation and those sorts of things and how that came about, you're welcome to do that.
Okay, well, geographically, I love Greenville because it's far enough out of Dallas to where you don't have the congestion and the noise that you get in Dallas. I still love
Right.
Dallas, but you're so close that you can just get in the car any day and drive over there for
Right.
lunch, right? But it's not the geography that I love about Greenville. What I love about Greenville is the people who are here. Greenville and Hunt County. I'm a guy who grew up in Brooklyn, New York. You know, not in Tyler,
Right.
not in Lufkin, not in Wolf City, not in Greenville. And there are people here who've gone to second grade together. And now they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they still hang out with their friends from second grade. I'm not that person.
Right.
But this is such an inclusive town that not one single time have I felt like an outsider. Every single person here has made me feel a part of the family of Greenville. And it doesn't matter if it's somebody who's cleaning the restrooms at a local restaurant, or the mayor, or the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody is inclusive and makes you feel like you're part of the team.
That is awesome. That makes me so proud. I'm from Greenville, and so that makes my heart so proud to know that we do a good job of that, of helping people feel inclusive, and that's what we want it to be. We don't want it to be cliquish and uninviting. So
It's not that
I'm
way.
so glad to know that that is your experience. So I want to touch on a minute, kind of what you're doing today. So tell us what you're doing today.
Well, my life and my family's life suddenly changed on March 10th of this year. My daughter's ex-husband had the boys for the night, and he was supposed to bring them to school the next day. He was staying in a hotel in Dallas, and we got some information that things weren't right. So my daughters went over to the hotel. The police were called to go in and check because there were some problems. And what happened was he wound up killing the boys. It was probably, I had mentioned earlier that I thought my wife passing away was the hardest thing I would face in my life. It wasn't even close. The loss of my two grandsons, Charlie, 12, and Noah, 9, was probably the most devastating, not probably, was the most devastating thing I'll ever experience in my life. It's never going to change. From now until my last day, it's going to be with me in every waking moment. My entire family's life changed at that moment. And a lot of things changed for for me as well with COVID. You know, with the virus, when something so tragic happens to a person, you're looking for a way to grab onto some type of normalcy, right? But there is no normalcy because the rest of the world is going crazy with a virus.
Right.
Everything's shut down. You can't go to a restaurant, or you couldn't for months, right? You couldn't go out to see a show. You don't go to the movies. You don't shake hands with people. Nobody gives you a hug, you know.
Right.
And so
I miss that.
when you need that, you know,
Yes.
when you're going through something so traumatic and you need that and it's not available, it just makes it worse. So I approached my daughter Bethy, who is the mom of Charlie and Noah, and I said, we should start a foundation named after the boys. And I have to tell you, at their ages, 12 and 9, they were so in tune to other people's feelings. They were amazing. You still hear stories from their friends' parents about the type of boys that they were. They were always concerned about their friends eating. I'll tell you this one quick story if I could.
Sure, absolutely.
My daughter Bethy would put money on Charlie's account at school so he could get his lunches. And she got another bill shortly after she put money on his account. And she picked him up from school and she said, Charlie, what's going on? I just put money on your account. Why do I need to put more money on? And he explained to her that there were a few of his friends that were hungry and didn't have money for lunch, so he bought their lunch. And that's who Charlie was. Noah was in the car one time at 9 years old, was driving with his mom and passed a homeless person on the street, and he was upset because he thought that everybody should have a home. So what we did was we started the foundation to support elementary and junior high school kids, not only in food programs, but maybe athletic programs and other things that are going to benefit kids of their age, their classmates and kids who would be just like them.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. So
That's so awesome.
the response has been tremendous so far. We're doing an auction online starting in September. And we started asking for items to be donated. The response is incredible. We've gotten so many autographed sporting items,
Yes,
footballs
I saw
and
that.
baseballs and helmets. And I can't even begin to tell you. I would leave things out. Pieces of art. I thought we would do an auction online that would maybe take 2 weeks. I think we're looking at 2 months.
Wow.
Because we
That's
have so
so
much stuff.
awesome.
So things have been really good, but it's life-changing. But out of that, something good has to happen. And so that's why we're moving forward with that.
And you really picked that up really fast. I mean, March 10th, and it's now August.
I have to tell you that it's the only way that I can face every day. Every morning is so difficult. I talked to my daughter Bethy about it, and we talked just a couple of days ago about when you first wake up in the morning, you know that 30 seconds when your brain hasn't kicked in yet?
Yes.
You don't really know for that first 30 seconds, and then it hits you.
And then you know.
And it takes you to that place,
Yeah.
which is awful. But you have to keep going,
Right.
you know, and you have to do things for other people, because you don't get better by getting things for yourself. You get better by making things better for other people. And that's what we're doing.
Yes. I've loved your posts through this journey. You have been real and honest. You'll have days that you're like, this day is hard.
Yes.
Today is so hard. And for those of us who haven't gone through it, we don't know what you're going through, but it does make us stop, say a prayer for you, and think about you. And I just think that's such a great testimony to other people that are going to go through tragedies, because you have you've made the choice to be positive about that and to make a difference in so many other people's lives on behalf of Charlie and Noah. And so I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that in you, and what a great example you've been just for me personally to know how to navigate that. So,
Well, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate you saying that.
So certainly so sorry for your loss.
Oh,
And there are no
thank you.
words. I've learned through my own tragedies and death that there are no words, and other than I'm thinking about you and praying for you, and that's about all that you can say. And time has to heal your heart and teach you how to get through it. And you have done a fantastic job with that. So
Well,
for that,
thank you.
thank you.
But I want to let everybody know that every penny that comes into the foundation goes to the mission. None of it goes to administrative costs. Nobody's getting any salary. Nobody's getting anything.
That's
All the
awesome.
money goes. So I had to start another business to be able to pay
Yes.
my bills.
You still want to eat, right? You still need a house and all those
I
things.
still have to eat. Yes, I do.
So tell us about your new business. It is a new venture.
It is. It's called Voice Print Promos. This is something I've always wanted to do, and it's advertising specialties. The promotional products. You know, pens and keychains and masks now, and everything that businesses put their names on and their logos on. You see them everywhere you go, right? You don't go to the bank. You don't go anywhere without a pen or something.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing now. We started that Voice Print Promos.
And by the way, I've gone through my catalog, and we have all these tabs of all the things that we're interested in. So
that's
we'll
good.
be placing an order very soon.
Well, that's good. But so that's what I'm doing to support myself.
Right.
So all of the money for the foundation, because that's where my heart is. That's where my daughter's heart is. That's where my family's heart is to keeping that going and making sure that's successful. And I'll do the voice print promos on the side to be able to eat. Put gas in the car to come down here.
Your new car, congratulations.
I do. Thank you. Well, it's new to me. It's a 2018, but
it's
new. It's new.
That's awesome. All right, I have one more question for you. It's the last
the
and final
surprise
question. Your surprise question.
Okay.
So, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received, and how did you apply it?
I've never received any advice. I've had to learn it all on myself, lady. It's all up to me.
It's all up to you.
I think what I started with, I think it's what my friend Gary Friedman said. If you can control your emotions and your attitude every day, then you can handle everything else. And that's the truth, because no matter what you do, no matter where you go, it's you. You know, there's a line in a Harry Chapin song, singer-songwriter Harry Chapin, who's passed away many years ago, but he had a song that he had a line in a song that said, "Sometimes I get this crazy dream that I just take off in my car, but you can travel on 10,000 miles and still stay where you are." Meaning, wherever you go, there you are. So it has to be you.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter what kind of work you do. It doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, what kind of house, sorry, real estate people. It doesn't matter what kind of house you live in. It's all about you. And you have to get up every day and go out into the world and do what you do.
Yes.
So that's it. Control your attitude and you can control everything.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Lonnie. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're
I love
so
being
welcome.
with you.
Thank
You're
you.
awesome.
Thank you. I feel the same about you.
Oh, well,
you're so
it's
awesome.
true.
too.
Thank
So,
you.
Feelings are mutual. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.